awful. Rodent droppings, dirty utensils, and improperly stored food.
They're just some of the violations that health inspectors found at the TD Bank North Garden. So when you go catch a game, how safe is the food? I-Team reporter Kathy Curran checks out the inspection reports at the Garden and at Gillette Stadium and tells you what you need to know.
I won't deny you.
From dogs and sausages to seafood, it's all on the menu for sports fans taking in a game at the Garden.
Number one!
But Boston health inspectors making the rounds say if what they found isn't corrected, some food being served up here could make you sick.
These are serious.
Of course they are, yes.
The I-Team looked into the 2008 inspection reports from the restaurants and concessions at the TD Bank North Garden and found 54 violations in 2 inspections here.
3 foodborne illness risk factors, improper storage of raw poultry, dairy products not at the right temperature.
Warm dairy, spoiled milk, and exposed raw chicken stored with cooked food were a few of the violations at the Premium Club, one of the upscale restaurants at the Garden.
What's the worry with that?
What the worry is that, as I said, there are bacteria on the product that hasn't been cooked.
The Banner restaurant failed inspection because they weren't sanitizing utensils properly. At the Executive Suites and Legends restaurant, there were only minor violations. The biggest problems were in the food stands around the arena. There were rodent droppings on the floor. At Hungry for Hockey, the hot dogs weren't hot enough, which means bacteria could grow. In other areas, grill ceilings and floors were dirty, utensils weren't sanitized, and fruit flies were circling and landing on fresh fruit.
Together, the concessions and restaurants here at the Garden feed about 18,000 people daily. A spokesperson for the Garden says that puts these violations in perspective, but the city says any violation is serious.
We cite them to get them corrected. We cite them also to educate them.
We were there as city inspectors were back on site last week, rechecking kitchens, restaurants, and food stands. On this scheduled re-inspection, the Garden passed. We told Shannon McLaughlin and her crew about the previous violations.
Well, I think it should be a higher standard. I do. I mean, they're feeding mass numbers of people. It's understandable that maybe it couldn't be perfect.
In a statement, Sports Service, the company in charge of the Garden food, says they take guests' health and safety very seriously and assure fans they expend great effort in adhering to the highest standards. The I-Team headed south to Foxborough to the home of the Patriots to see how the food at Gillette stacked up. We looked at the past 7 inspections of the stadium.
No critical violations.
And according to town records, there wasn't one violation.
It might be surprising, but it's true.
When we asked town officials about the results of these inspections, they told us last year they only had 1 person doing inspections for this stadium and the entire town.
But the town says it's not a manpower issue. The Patriots have a food safety consulting company that inspects everything, helping them stay in compliance.
That's proactive. That costs money, that costs time. But in the end, look at the results. The results speak for themselves.
We want to make sure that they're aware of what they have to do and that that establishment is going to operate in a safe and sanitary manner 365 days a year.
Officials for the Patriots and the Garden both say they train and certify employees in food safety. Foxborough has certified 2 additional people to do inspections for the town. For the I-Team, Kathy Curran, WBZ News.
Now we did check